I am a candidate for the leadership of the party. I think the party needs change. I think the party itself needs to change. And I think the first job of the leader is to help the party to change. And I think it's going to take an incredible amount of work and effort for that to happen. I think it's going to take an enormous amount of openness. It's going to take an enormous amount of self-recognition on our part as to what has worked and what has not worked. And I think it's going to take a tremendous commitment from each and every one of us to building a more open, a more transparent, and frankly, a more successful Liberal Party. And the effort and the work are going to be substantial and substantive. I've argued, for example, that we should be opening up the party as much as we possibly can. That we need to be attracting new people to the party. We need to be attracting more younger people to the party. We need to be attracting a more diverse population to the party. We need to be broadening the base of the party in every way that we possibly can. And I think that's critically important for us. And we have to have a strategy that says it's a 308-seat strategy. It's a strategy, if you like, if you take Vancouver Island as the example, we have to go right up the island. We have to say we are campaigning and we're competing and we're going to be connecting with every single part of the country. And we have to listen to people. We really have to listen. I was talking to the mayor of a large western city. I won't say who it was because I don't want to put him on the spot. And just who knows where this will appear on YouTube or somewhere. I have no idea. Anyway, he said, "I hate to tell you this, but your party is completely irrelevant to the politics of where I live. It just isn't. You are just not a factor. You are a marginal party." And we're at risk of becoming a kind of 416, 514 party, a party that's just confined to a few places, the Maritimes, a few seats in Vancouver, and if we're lucky we win one or two other seats. And we simply have to transform our own sense of who we are into being a real national party, a party that really connects with people, and really connects with the base of the population, and really connects with people in every possible way. That's what we have to do. We have to do it in an ongoing way, and it's critical. It means changes, it means structural changes, it means looking at how the party functions, how it finances itself, how successful or unsuccessful we are at that. We have roughly we have about 10% as many contributors per capita as Barack Obama of the United States. We need to multiply by 10 the number of people who contribute regularly to the party. We need to broaden the base, and we need to sort of say we want an ideal riding association should have 800 to 1,000 members. That should be something that we're aiming for right across the country as we try to build up a strong membership everywhere. And the leader, frankly, has to be somebody who really cares about that, who doesn't just think, well, I'm the Prime Minister in waiting. Because you may or may not be the Prime Minister in waiting, but one thing I do know for sure is if you're not a more successful leader of the party in terms of arousing and growing the party, then nothing else will happen. So we have to really pay attention to that level of detail. When it comes to the country, we have to do a better job of listening carefully to what people said to us in the last election. They wanted us to talk about the economy, and they didn't hear a consistent message on the economy. They wanted us to talk for them, and sometimes they felt that we were talking to them. And there's every bit of difference in the world. The Liberal Party has to become a more populist party. Now, I have this idea that's just sort of come upon me watching the Conservatives in the House over the last couple of weeks. And remembering, one of the advantages of having been around for a while, which, as you can tell from the color of my hair, I have been around for a while in the political system, is what drove those Conservatives under Mr. Diefenbaker and later on is, as much as you disagreed with them, they cared about their ridings, they cared about Parliament. And then you got the Preston Manning thing where they were talking about more free votes and opening up Parliament and all the stuff that was supposed to happen to really introduce real democracy into the Parliament of Canada and into the framework of our political parties. And what do we have on the other side? We have the most top-down, controlled, undemocratic operation that I've ever seen. I've never seen a Prime Minister's office that had that level of control. I've never seen ministers so terrified of expressing themselves or giving a speech or saying this is what I think or this is what I believe or this is what I'm going to do. I've never seen anything like it. I've never seen committees in the House of Commons that were so controlled, where it was impossible to even get them to agree to elect a neutral chair, somebody we could all agree would be better. It's as if a wall had gone up in the House of Commons and they were just there. They were part of a kind of an army of folks who had a general and he was telling them where to go and what to do. And I was thinking, what would Deef make of that? You know, what would Gordon Fairweather make of that? What would Duff Roblin make of that? What would people make of it who have come from what would Robert Stanfield think of that? I can't imagine any of those people saying, yeah, this is the way parties should really operate. This is how Parliament really should work. And so it's going to be necessary for the Liberal Party to actually speak to that concern which Canadians have. Canadians want their MPs to speak up. They want their MPs to be people who can say something. People want Parliament to be more meaningful to them. We have to learn to do politics differently. We can't simply continue to do things the way we've always done them or the way we did them before. Sometimes, you know, when you come out of an election and you've lost, people say, if only we'd explained it better, or only if we said it a little louder, or if we had more money to tell people more about it, we might have been more successful. And I actually don't think that's true. I actually don't think that's true, because I repeat my point. Canadians want a party that's going to speak for them. They don't want a party that's going to speak to them. And that's very, very important. And that's critically important for us as a party to learn that lesson. Now, the good news is that if you can turn and change, and you can make that happen, then we can succeed. Because we have a tremendous tradition in the party of speaking to issues that Canadians aren't concerned about. They're concerned about healthcare, they're concerned about their jobs and the economy. They want a party that's sensible about those things, that cares about those things. They want a party that's going to help the municipalities work on public services and work with the provinces. They want a party that doesn't take a too kind of narrow or ideological or even theological approach to economic questions, should we or should we not ever have a deficit? You sort of say, well, around the world, a lot of countries seem to be, in that situation, and none of us want to go into debt. None of us like to go into debt, but, if we have to buy a house, sometimes we take out a mortgage. Is that a crime? I don't think so. So let's get practical about what we're going to try to do here, and how we're going to do it, how we're going to run things, how we're going to make things happen. We have to invest in the future, we have to become more innovative as an economy, and we have to deal with the real social challenges that are facing the country, which include climate change. Now, people say to me, well, what about the green shift? And my answer to that is to say well, the people have decided what about the green shift. They didn't like what the package that they saw. So we can't just come back and say, well, we're going to give you the same package, only this time we're going to really tell you why it's good for you. Like sort of saying, you didn't like that one spoonful of cod liver oil, just take the extra one, it'll feel even better. It doesn't work that way. We have to listen to people and say, okay, we know there has to be a shift. We know in our hearts that if we're going to reduce carbon emissions, it's going to require a change in our economy, a change in how we do business. But we're simply going to have to go back to the drawing board, work with Canadians and say, okay, you didn't like that method, what other methods can we use? What can you think of? What would work? And I come at it in a very, non-ideological way. I say, look, I have an objective. My objective is to reduce carbon emissions and get it done as quickly as we can and get Canada on the right side of those questions. My objective is to create an economy that's more innovative, that conserves more. I was going to say a more conservative economy, but then people would say, now you've really gone over to the other side. But an economy that conserves better, that just conserves better, doesn't waste as much, a less wasteful economy. That's very important for us. It's not because I think it's good for you. I think because I think it's just better for the economy if we're able to do that. So let's move in those directions together. And finally, and this is another part of my message, as a country, let's regain our voice, okay? I mean two things by that. I mean, we have to have a national government which is capable of understanding that we are more than just the sum of the provincial parts. The country is bigger than that. Canada is more than that. And the Liberal Party has always stood for that proposition. From the very foundation of the party, that's been what we have stood for. We have stood for the idea that yes, we're a federation, yes, we have provinces, but the federal government has a life too that speaks to Canadians from coast to coast to coast, and that represents something called the national interest and the public interest. And that's why we have a national government, that's why we have a federal government. And we have to speak to that.